Trump's Liberation Day has arrived. He's imposing sweeping tariffs on around 60 countries and insisting that this will make America wealthy again. Dr. Victor Davis Hanson is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution and Stanford University and best-selling author and historian, and he joins us now on Power Hour. Dr. Victor Davis Hanson, thank you for your time. Look, countries around the world are in shock. This is no doubt a big controversial move from Donald Trump. Is he making the right decision?
Well, he's making one that the elite of the United States does not approve of, but the majority of people do, and it's because we're running about a $1.1 trillion to $1.4 trillion on average the last 5 years trade deficit. We're $37 trillion in national debt. We pay $3 billion a day in interest on it. We're running a 1.7 annual trillion-dollar budget deficit. So everybody's passed on this debt and this imbalance and this asymmetry, and he's decided he's going to be the first president that's going to address all of these issues at once. So we'll see what happens. It's not sustainable, whatever one feels about it.
Okay, so is Trump playing the long game here? Do you think Americans will be okay with some short-term pain, and how long will it take for Americans to actually benefit from these moves?
I think if a country has a large surplus and they have asymmetrical tariffs, he's not going to back down. If a country says, we have a moderate surplus and we're willing to work with you, and we don't need to eliminate it, but we're willing to work with you where we have no tariffs on either side. The United States has the fewest aggregate across the board, has the lowest tariffs of any major country in the world.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. And we have the most open, and he's the first person to come along and says, we have hollowed out the interior of the country and we're not going to do it anymore because I think it's mostly directed at the $200 billion trade deficit with Europe, the 177 with Mexico, the 63 billion with Canada, and especially the 250 billion with China. Problem he's having with the UK and Europe in general is if they run trade surpluses or deficits, and if they haven't met their 2%, I think Britain has now finally met their 2% promise of European NATO countries to invest in military, then he feels that the United States is subsidizing their defense while they are taking advantages of trade. And the weird thing about Donald Trump is he seems to be able to get along with people with the exception of Justin Trudeau, he's able to get along with people of the opposite political party abroad in a way that's I can't explain it, but sometimes he's closer to somebody on the left abroad than he is his kindred conservative. Not all, but it's odd. I haven't seen a president be quite like that.
What's your assessment of how he's been performing? You know, we've seen the border essentially close. We've seen more oil being produced. How significant is it? I know there are plenty of Trump critics out there. What do you make of what he's been able to achieve in just 73 days?
Well, I think we're all surprised that it's a counter-revolution. In magnitude, we haven't seen anything like it since the left-wing revolution of FDR in 1933. But it's a counter-revolution. It's economic, political, cultural, military. Everything is up for grabs, and there's been radical changes, and the Democratic Party has kind of melted in Congress. They've taken to the street. They've gone after Tesla, but they're disorganized. They're polling about 23% now in popularity. So the only challenge he has is the messaging. I think some of his people get a little bit braggadocious or triumphalist. He needs to say, look, we didn't run up the debt, and we didn't open the border, and we didn't create a 1.1 trade deficit, but we're here at this time in this place, and we don't like what we're doing. We don't like to get in arguments with our allies. We don't like to lay off federal workers. It's much easier to borrow and spend than cut and save, but we have no choice because it's sustainable what we're doing in the United States. Now, if he gets that kind of tragic, this is the task that fell to us. We didn't want it, but we're going to do it. I think it's a much better than, hey, high five, we got a chainsaw, we're going to get rid of these fraud, waste, and abuse stuff. That's all. It's just a matter of messaging.